During a long day spent roaming the forest in search of edible grains and herbs, the wary divine farmer Shen Nong accidentally poisoned him 72 times. But before the poisons could end his life, a leaf drifted into his mouth. He chewed on it and it revived him. And that is how we discovered tea. Or so an ancient legend goes, at least. Tea doesn't actually cure poisonings, but the story of Shen Nong, the mythical Chinese inventor of agriculture, highlights its importance to ancient China. Archaeological evidence suggests tea was first cultivated there as early as 6,000 years ago, or 1,500 years before the pharaohs built the Great Pyramids of Giza. The original Chinese tea plant is about the same type that's grown around the world today, yet it was originally consumed very differently. It was eaten as a vegetable or cooked with grain porridge. Tea only shifted from food to drink 1,500 years ago, when people realized that a combination of heat and moisture could create a complex and varied taste out of the leafy green. After hundreds of years of variations to the preparation method, the standard became to heat tea, pack it into portable cakes, grind it into powder, mix with hot water, and create a beverage called mocha or matcha. Matcha became so popular that a distinct Chinese tea culture emerged. Tea was the subject of books and poetry, the favorite drink of emperors, and a medium for artists. They would draw extravagant pictures in the foam of the tea, very much like the espresso art you might see in coffee shops today. In the 9th century, during the Tang Dynasty, a Japanese monk brought the first tea plant to Japan. The Japanese eventually developed their own unique rituals around tea, leading to the creation of the Japanese tea ceremony. And during the 14th century, during the Ming Dynasty, the Chinese emperor shifted the standard from tea pressed into cakes to loose tea leaf tea. At that point, China still held a virtual monopoly on the world's tea trees, making tea one of 3 essential Chinese export goods, along with porcelain and silk. This gave China a great deal of power and economic influence as tea drinking spread around the world. That spread began to earnest around in the early 16,000s when Dutch traders brought tea to Europe in large quantities. Many credit Queen Catherine of Braganza, a Portuguese noblewoman, for making tea popular with the English aristocracy when she married King Charles II in 1661. At that time, Great Britain was in the midst of expanding its colonial influence and becoming the new dominant of world power. And as Great Britain grew, interest in tea spread around the world. By 1700, tea in Europe sold for 10 times the price of coffee. And the only plant was still only grown in China. The tea trade was so lucrative that the world's fastest sailboat, the Clipper ship, was born out of intense competition between Western trading companies. All were racing back to bring the first tea back to England to maximize their